Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit Rainman, starring Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman. So grab your cheese balls and a portable TV and join us.
Not too shabby.
Thanks,
Christina.
Not bad at all.
Welcome, everyone, to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Brian.
And this is Christina.
And today we are revisiting 1988's Rain Man. This was released on December 16th, 1988. We begin, as we always do, by discussing then. Christina, when was the first time you saw Rain Man?
I don't remember.
Ah!
I want to say it was in the movie theater.
Okay.
I feel like it was in the movie theater.
No one's going to prove you wrong.
No one can prove me wrong.
Unless someone from your past comes forward.
Wah, wah, wah. I'm pretty sure it was in the movie theater. And I remember really liking this movie.
Mm-hmm.
There were certain parts of it I wasn't a big fan of.
Okay.
I remember not really loving the girlfriend back then.
Okay.
But there wasn't much that I didn't like about it. I actually really appreciated the acting. I thought the acting was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Although I remember thinking Tom Cruise wasn't perfect. Like, I remember having a little bit of criticism for Tom Cruise. But I think also in that time frame, people's expectations of Tom Cruise were really, really high.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong in thinking that? I feel like he was like the golden boy. Like, maybe not. But I just remember being a little bit underwhelmed by his performance. But Dustin Hoffman, I was floored by. I also remember this opened up a huge conversation about what is autism.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very not well known at all what that was, in my circles anyway. And I remember a lot of people criticizing because he was very high functioning. And I think the idea of autism back then, I think a lot of people felt like they weren't typically that high functioning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, in this day and age, we all understand that there's a spectrum involved, and there's high end and low end, and there's like a huge spectrum. But I think the understanding back then was when you were autistic, sometimes you didn't speak and there was a lot of things that you weren't able to do. But I appreciate the fact that people were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was educational for me, for sure. Not that I looked it up or anything, but just hearing the conversations about autism was very interesting to me. What about you, Brian?
I think just to your earlier point, so it went Top Gun, The Color of Money, Cocktail, then Rain Man. So yes, he was like...
Yeah, he was a lot of expectation there.
Always had big, openings in his films. And then after Rain Man was Born on the 4th of July, Days of Thunder, and Far and Away, and then A Few Good Men. So, yeah, he had quite a string leading up to Rain Man. For me, you were much more loving. I was bored to tears. I did see this in the movie theater. I saw this in the movie theater. So, keeping in mind, I was 16, and I haven't seen it since.
Yeah.
And I was bored to tears. I found it was very somber, dry. I thought it was fine. I got it. Yes, it felt very Oscar. Like there were many scenes.
Oh, very Oscar.
Many dramatic yelling scenes. And I thought Dustin Hoffman was great. I also struggled with Tom Cruise. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
But at 16 I struggled. But with Tom Cruise's performance. But I remember just being bored and truly bored. And like I haven't rewatched it since for this podcast. I watched it like probably 3 days ago. So, having said that, we have very different takes, very different experiences on our enjoyment the first time around. Now, through our middle-aged lens, let's hear it, Christina.
So I watched this last night.
Oh my God. Good for you.
In my defense,
I know.
I had some power issues.
Yeah.
That prevented me from keeping up on a podcast watching things. So, but we, I wanted to, obviously it's a long movie. I needed to have like a big chunk of time carved out for that. 2 hours and 13 minutes. And so I watched it with Matt, and I did enjoy it. What was interesting about it this time around was I feel like we know so much more about people with special abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me very uncomfortable watching the way Tom Cruise's character treated his brother.
The same fucking note. I have that Christina. The same
Really?
note. Yep.
Really, really uncomfortable.
Yep.
And that overshadowed my enjoyment of the movie. I appreciated Dustin Hoffman quite a bit. I thought he was so great. I really thought he was so great in this. And I appreciated some of the humor. I mean, he has some good lines, and it's not even necessarily like it's a funny line, but it's like just a perfect line for the situation that they're in.
We have very similar notes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and it made me, a lot of the things that made me laugh before made me laugh again. And I did think his portrayal was very good. There was something else I was going to say, and I can't remember what it was now. But all in all, I still liked it, and it was still entertaining for me. Oh, one thing that did change is I really liked the girlfriend this time around. I thought she was great.
Valeria Golino.
Golino, yes. Yeah. I really, really liked her a lot. I thought she was a great character, and a pretty real character. Like, you could see how she is drawn to this man, but then how frustrated she is with him. And I loved how she spoke her mind about it. Like, what? No, we've been sitting here in this car for an hour and a half, and I still don't know what's going on in your head, Yeah. And then I love the fact that she leaves him.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed her in this viewing. What else can I say? Yeah, why don't you tell me a little bit about how you were feeling this time around?
It's so funny. So truly, my note, 45 minutes in, I just wrote, this is very unpleasant. And, I think what happened for me is, like, again, I haven't seen this since I was 16. And that was my foot, I swear to God. And you know what sucks is, like, it begins with, I go on, my grandma, said to your grandpa.
I remember
like, it's
that
all
for
like
some
this,
reason.
like, yeah, well, it's all like this, like, upbeat soundtrack, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, is this, and I'm trying to remember, like, is this really just a road trip movie with, like, Dustin Hoffman's, autistic character and all this, and, like, and then it just starts, and you have Tom Cruise, who is, like, just smarmy, like, he's, like, wheeling and dealing with the cars. It's a very hammy performance, and I couldn't, and it really sucks, because I'm trying to give Tom Cruise, performance a lot of credit in the sense, like, it's tough because you don't even realize how much of his wheeling and dealing he actually means, because you find out that he's actually lying. He doesn't have the cars because they haven't passed inspection, and so he's lying. So you meet him when he's lying, so you don't even really know what his character's like. Fine, but then but he's just unpleasant. Like, he goes from one thing to another, and at every turn,
what I hated about this character is how poorly he treated the people around him. He's yelling at these coworkers, or employees, probably, yelling at them like they're idiots.
That's right.
He's like, can you get that? Can you get what I'm saying? Are you sure? Like, what a dick. I don't want to work for that guy.
Well, also, and then, we haven't gotten even how he talks to Raymond.
That's
which
before
is,
even that.
I know.
My God, I can't.
Stop acting like an idiot. Stop acting like a fucking retard.
Yep.
Is what he says to this man with autism. It's really unpleasant. And then even the scenes before that where he's, he goes, his dad passes away. He goes to the, reading of the will. And he's left rose bushes and the car. So, but he has this line about rose bushes. He's like, oh no. He's like, I know the rose. And like, it's
remember
supposed
that from
to
before.
be funny. And I'm like, but I think because his character is such a jerk, you almost can't even laugh because he's such a jerk.
Yeah, I remember. So what was funny about this movie, there were specific lines that I remembered.
Okay.
Like, really remembered. And that was one of them.
Okay.
When they're talking about the will, and he's like, "Oh, but I get the rose bushes though, right? That's mine though, right? Right?"
Yeah.
And you're right. Like, I don't know if it was supposed to be funny. I don't even know if it was.
I think it was because I think it's like
because he's so frustrated.
Yeah, he's so sarcastic and frustrated and manic. But on rewatch, he's such a jerk. Yes. That I don't want to laugh with him. I don't want to laugh at his jokes.
Yeah, I'm not interested in... Yeah, exactly.
And so maybe Tom Cruise is so good in this that he's so believable, it's not enjoyable. Yeah. I don't know, but it's weird.
One note I did write next to it, and of course I wouldn't have figured this out because I hadn't seen Rain Man yet, right? But when he was saying, he's like, I got the roses, right? I definitely got the roses. Is that not like what something Raymond would say? I got the roses. Oh, but there's definitely got the roses.
There are a few scenes like that actually, that where he's talking. It's about what he's passionate about. Anytime he's talking about money, it's like, oh, 80,000, 80,000, 80,000, 80,000. It's like, oh, he has a little bit of of it too, at least in his dialogue. So, it's just, it's tough. I think it's a tough character. I don't think it's the acting. I think it's just the character. I want to just remind, us and the listeners that this movie won Best Picture. It was made for $25 million. It made $355 million. It was the highest grossing film of 1988. Obviously, Dustin Hoffman won Best Actor. Barry Levinson won Best Director. It won Best Screenplay. It won Cinematography. I'm sorry. It was nominated for Art Direction, Cinematography, Editing, and Score as well.
And I do think that they deserve those accolades. I really do. I think it's a great movie. I just think rewatching it in this day and age is very difficult. It
is. It really is.
Very difficult. And they would not be making this movie today. Not in the way that they made it. So
they could remake it. I think, in a way, it would have to take place in 88.
It would have to be. Oh, yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's the only way it would work. Otherwise, you'd be like, oh my God, this is cruel.
No one's going to let a person talk to someone with special needs the way that he was talking.
It's really not right. And then, and that, again, that's a middle-aged lens. But it's, there are things I laughed at. And there were quite a few. I laughed at BAM! The Future of Rock and Roll. He says it like 6 times. BAM! The Future of Rock and Roll.
Well, it's so good. I love how annoying he is. And how Tom Cruise is so annoyed by him. And it was almost like I was like cheering it because it's like, you know what? Good. You did this.
That's right.
You think you
kidnapped him.
You kidnapped this guy. They told you he needs certain things. Yeah. You're not listening. And I love that he's annoying the shit out of you. And there's nothing that you can do about it except for maybe bring him back. I loved it so much.
Good. I love the diner waitress, Bonnie Hunt, when he knows her phone number.
Oh, yes.
That's great. And I liked her in her other scene. It's the same sort of sequence of the film. With the toothpicks. Yep, great.
There's 4 left in here.
And that's the other thing. To the film's credit, when he's confused on the street, and trust me, I remember watching that as a 16-year-old, feeling like, oh my God, I hate this. As an adult, I'm like, actually, they weren't even that mean to him. They actually got out of the truck to see if he was okay. They weren't insulting him.
They were not insulting him.
He said, what? He goes, the rudest thing he said was, what, do you want to get hit by a car? And then I slowly realized this guy needs some help here.
Yes. And then that was stressful for me too. All of those situations when he's on the highway, in the airport, and crossing the street there, you just don't know what it's going to escalate to. And so that scene was after the airport, when you already saw this oh my gosh, this freak out. You don't know if he's going to have this freak out. You don't know what he's going to do, if he's going to run into a car.
Right.
But yeah, it's, oh my God, so stressful. And that's one of the reasons why I really like this movie too, is because it goes from sort of this light kind of humor where he's doing things to annoy the shit out of his brother, to a
well,
very...
he's
he's
doing
not doing
things
it. No, he's just doing it.
that annoy him.
That annoy him.
Right,
Yeah, he's not doing it to annoy him.
Yeah, right.
He's doing it, and it is annoying Charlie, which is funny to these very potentially very dangerous kind of situations.
Yes,
and it's like your heart stops. You're like, oh my god, because you love this guy. You love this guy. You want him to be safe, and you want him to be okay, and you really hate Charlie. And I think that they did that on purpose, making him such an asshole. Yeah. He's so mean to everything. He's so mean to his girlfriend. He's so everything. One of those other lines, I told you, I remember a lot of the lines. Yeah. One of the lines I remembered was actually, did you hear what it's like to have this man as your father? Did you hear it? And he's like, I heard it. Did you hear it? And Tom Cruise says, no. Can you repeat it? Because I can't believe my fucking ears. And I remember, it was so funny. I'm like, oh my god, I remembered so much of these lines. And I don't think I've seen this movie more than, maybe twice. It might have been one of those HBO movies that was on. And let me tell you something. I was thinking about this. I miss those days. These days, you need to know what you want to watch. Basically before you watch it. You can see trailers, you can see, whatever, on Netflix, on Hulu, or whatever. I miss those days when you can channel surf and you're all of a sudden stop in the middle of a movie that you might have seen before and be like, oh, I like this movie. And just start watching it. Yes. I feel like in a lot of these revisits, I watched something several times because of that situation. Yeah. Where I'm like, oh, I don't know what I want to watch, and all of a sudden stop at HBO in the middle of Raymond. It's like, oh yeah, I'll put this on. But I missed that. Anyway, I digress.
I laughed when there's supposed to be 8, and he just cuts them in half. He's like, there's 8. I actually thought that was funny. Yeah. And that was good. To me, that was a safe version of a jerk. You know what I mean?
Yes,
that's a total jerk move, but that's actually funny. Yes. I also thought I like the boxer shorts conversation. I like the directing of that scene, where it's from a distance. And there's this very long road ahead of them, and Tom Cruise gets out of the car and he's freaking out. He just there are some good moments. I think for the most part, though, this movie is a bit of a downer, and it's my God, I don't know. I did write. It's like if you have anxiety, I would be wary of watching this movie because
Matt was watching it next to me, and he's like, I cannot. He's like, I am so anxious watching this movie.
There are so many. There's people talking at the same time. It's double talk. There's a lot of tight spaces, whether it's a telephone booth or even the car itself, or elevators. I mean, things like that. And it's like there's yelling and there's tension and confusion, and then repetitive dialogue because of who the characters are. But it's like this did nothing. This was so bad for my anxiety. Yes. I struggled a lot, and I was like, this is unpleasant. This is not a good time at the movies for me.
And I felt the same way. I don't really have anxiety.
But that is a middle-aged thing.
But watching this, definitely middle-aged, watching this just made me so uncomfortable. I mean, the whole time I'm like, he shouldn't be treating him like that. He should. I don't like watching someone treating someone like that the way he's treating him. I just didn't like it. I wanted to shut it off. And, it was really, really rough. It wasn't until probably Vegas where I started feeling a little less anxious.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, and whatever, convenient, driving through Vegas. Oh, you count cars. Oh, let's win $100,000. Too convenient, but I was appreciative of it because we needed that break. The one part about Vegas that I did not enjoy, I didn't enjoy it then.
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say.
Go on and tell me, because I know you know.
The kiss in the elevator.
Oh!
Why? Why?
So uncomfortable.
Dumb.
She's seducing him.
It's so...
She plays this so poorly.
Called for. And she's a good character. And because here's the thing, folks. Pity isn't love.
No, it's not.
I only got that she felt sorry for him. Oh, you didn't have your date. You didn't have your date with a prostitute. She didn't show up.
And she's like,
I'll be your prostitute.
Didn't you want to kiss?
Did you want to kiss her?
What do you want to cup a field?
Listen, the dance I thought was sweet. And then I was like, oh my God, she kisses him, doesn't. And I remembered, I was like, oh my God, she kisses him.
And it's the way she kisses him.
Forced. She comes on to him.
She is like, open your mouth like you're going to be tasting something.
Imagine if it was a woman who was autistic and a man was making moves on her.
Not cool.
How would that have gone?
That would have been terrible and probably not shown. The other thing about it is he has a mentality of a child.
Okay.
This man has a mentality of a child. So are you saying that it's okay to kiss a child that way?
No, Christina, it's so wrong in so many ways.
It's so bad. The only way, and I understand sort of why I kind of understand why the scene is the way it is. I don't agree with it. I don't think they should have had it. I think it would have been fine without it in it. But if they really felt like they had to have it, what should have happened was he should have expressed some need for a kiss before any of that happened. She should not have offered him a kiss. He doesn't even know what the fuck a kiss is. He doesn't even like to be touched.
That's right.
He is uncomfortable with any of that. He doesn't like eye contact. He doesn't like any of that connection.
Yeah.
So why is she forcing a kiss on him? If he had said something to the effect of, you're disappointed she didn't show up, blah blah blah. Yeah. I didn't get to kiss. I didn't get to kiss.
Yeah.
Then she could have said, "Oh, you wanted a kiss?"
Yeah.
That would have been sweet.
Yeah. But it's also, and you're right, and it's also like the directing is all up close. She's violating him. I'm sorry, because he doesn't know, and it's like, and that is not.
And what is that? Who
gross.
Gets what out of what? Is she's getting something out of that kiss?
This is my point. She feels sorry for him, and pity isn't love, and pity isn't really all that nice.
No,
like it's
not.
Like it was so unnecessary. And I'm going to say it again: if the sexes were reversed in those roles, this would be a very different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, it's just a bad choice on the screen, from the screenwriters and the director. I just am surprised even the actors were like, yeah, this is a good scene. Mm-hmm. We should do this.
Yeah, let's do that.
So
a lot of people said yes to that, and I don't understand it. Speaking of role reversals, I had heard way back when, and so I apologize. I have no idea if this is true, but I remember hearing about it. And I meant to do some research on it before I got here today, and I didn't. I'm wondering if you ever heard of it. Did you ever hear that Tom Cruise wanted the Raymond role, or Dustin Hoffman wanted the Charlie role?
So original.
Did you hear about this? Okay, good.
Do you want the trivia now or later?
Yes, please. I want you to hear this.
So originally, when this was being written, the screenwriters had Dennis Quaid and Randy Quaid in mind.
Oh, that's funny.
And then, as what happens is like Bill Murray and Dustin Hoffman were interested. Bill Murray was going to play Raymond.
Okay.
Dustin Hoffman was going to play Charlie.
Okay.
Then Bill Murray, something happened, couldn't do it. And then they got Tom Cruise. And then Dustin Hoffman said, well, I would like to play Charlie. Because what happened was, I believe Dustin Hoffman was doing a lot of research. Dustin Hoffman had more time. Dustin Hoffman had more time with the script, and he was spending his time with people that had autism, and so he was learning a lot about them. And when the casting was going a little weird, and then Tom Cruise was being talked about. He's like, I want to play Raymond.
Yes. So I had heard not all of that detail.
Okay.
I had heard about the switch between Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman, and I always wonder what that would have looked like. Even as I'm watching it, I don't know how that would have worked.
Yeah.
It just didn't seem like the older brother would be the one helping the younger brother. It was just just didn't seem really worked out.
I do know,
but I'm glad to hear that was a true thing, because I remember hearing that when I was back in the 80s.
I did a little research on this, and I do know that when they would rehearse in their trailers together, Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise, that they would trade roles sometimes.
Oh, no kidding.
Just to get super familiar with the script and choices maybe they would make. For example, the fart in the phone booth, improv.
No kidding.
Because Dustin Hoffman farted. And instead of like cutting the scene, they went along with it. The other scene...
That's good. I like that. I had no idea.
The other scene, although I like the mannerisms, I didn't like the words, but at the end when they're resting their heads on each other, super sweet.
So sweet.
However, what I didn't like is when he calls Charlie his main man. I didn't like that. I didn't find that super believable, just being honest. But that was improv. Dustin Hoffman decided to say, "You're my main man, Charlie," but I think that was sort of not accurate, like because of what we are trained to believe about autism up to that point, and that his other guy was the main guy, Vern, exactly, Vern, yeah.
I did feel like, I mean, as good as the movie was, I did feel like there was a little bit of inconsistencies there. One is when at the end, and it's a funny moment, everybody laughs, tell him, Ray, Kmart sucks. Oh. I don't think that, knowing Raymond the way I do, I don't think Charlie saying, tell him, Raymond, or tell him, Ray, that he's going to be like, Kmart sucks. Like, I don't think he would have thought to say that.
No.
It seemed like a weird thing to do. There was a couple of moments, even a couple of times when Charlie's like touching him or rubbing his back, and I'm like, but Raymond doesn't like to be touched.
Right.
He should be shrieking, like, shirking. What is that the word?
Shirking back.
Shirking?
Like, yeah.
I don't know. That's not the word either, but he should not have been allowing that to happen.
Skulking?
And it did. Skulking?
Isn't skulking a word?
Maybe it's skulking. I think that's what I'm looking for. So I just felt like there could have been a little bit more in that I know. I just happen to notice it. I'm like, if I'm noticing it.
I agree. There was some things I'm like, wait, he doesn't like that though. So the road trip element in the music, did it remind you of anything?
Well, Thumb on the Wheeze.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, is that what you're thinking?
Because, Hans Zimmer, and I believe this is Hans Zimmer's first film.
Oh, no kidding.
I
thought it was a little interesting that they're able to get a doctor's appointment within hours.
1,000%.
I mean, I have to wait months.
Yep.
So a stranger, he's not even a patient, stranger off the street was able to get a same-day appointment with a psychiatrist, I think. And I loved that. Actually, I did like the fact that that scene was kind of interesting. But when they're in the waiting room and he writes down he's autistic, and the nurse is even like, he's artistic?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's autistic. Well, what is it? And nobody knows really what it is.
Yeah.
So interesting. And very true back then.
Yeah.
And then I thought was funny in the doctor's office. I mean, it was a little uncomfortable because he's like kind of like a party game at this point. Like, oh, let me try something. Like that was weird.
Yeah.
But so he's doing all the calculations and all that. And Tom Cruise says, that's amazing. He should work for NASA. And then he's like, Raymond, how do you change, I give you $1 and I need 50 cents back. What do you have? $7? And he goes, so much for NASA.
No. I think he says, how much does milk cost?
Milk cost, something like that. It's $700, whatever.
Yeah.
But then my point was that he says, so much for NASA.
Yeah.
Right, which was kind of funny.
By the way, speaking of doctors, you know that the other doctor is Barry Levinson.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
And that was a long scene, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
It was so sad, but I really liked it.
Yes. Yes. Now that you mention it, yeah. It was so sad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, because,
she's just trying to prove a point, and it's very uncomfortable.
And you really see that Charlie hasn't changed a whole lot, which I like. Like, Charlie was super defensive, super aggressive. He was talking over Charlie, Tom Cruise, talking over everyone. And I was like, I appreciate the scene because I feel like a weaker movie would have made Charlie much more understanding and thoughtful.
Yes.
And no, he's still an asshole.
He changed a little bit.
But
I liked that he only changed a little. He's still, deep down, he's an asshole.
An asshole, absolutely. But that doctor is Barry Levinson, and he's actually really good in this. That's so funny.
He was really good in that.
Yeah.
What'd you think about the bathroom moments?
All right, so here's how I feel. I remember vividly that was the Oscar clip. They used that clip when Dustin Hoffman won his Oscar. And I remembered it being longer. I remember it being more awful. I remember it being more spastic. And this time around, like, it's like 5 seconds of screen time. And it's not only that, it's really, I hate to say this, not anything against the performance, but it's really done with the camera work.
Yes.
Like, there's really only like a split second where he's slapping his own head.
Yep.
And everything else is like sort of off camera yelling, and you see Tom Cruise's reaction to it. I would say that's more of a Tom Cruise acting moment than a Dustin Hoffman.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I wasn't as
all he did was scream. All he did was scream and go, "Ah, hot water burn, baby!" Like,
and I think what was more, I think what affected me more back then was the surprise element of it.
Yes.
Right? I mean, it wasn't necessarily like this great performance of him hitting himself in the head, but it was more that surprise. It was such a sweet moment, and it was the first time that really Charlie is looking at Raymond and realizing, oh my God, wait, I do have a memory of you. Mm-hmm. That was you. You were Rain Man.
Right.
And then he's like realizing it. One thing I did kind of annoyed me a little bit was the song that they chose. It's a Beatles song. Just 17, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's a popular song, and it made me feel like, okay, so you've gone your whole life and never heard this song? Or, I mean, songs are powerful.
Yeah.
When you hear a song, you remember things. Mm-hmm. In such a special moment, right? He used to sing that song whenever he was scared.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
So now he spends his whole life either never hearing that very popular song by the Beatles or hearing it and not connecting it. Seemed a little bit odd. I wished they had chosen a different song, like a little more obscure. Maybe it's still a popular one, but maybe not like a Beatles song.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But I did really, really love that scene this time around watching it. I thought it was so sweet. And I really appreciated Tom Cruise's performance, to be honest, in this moment.
So I think his best scene is the swimming pool scene when he's talking to the doctor.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm like, I'm buying this and I shouldn't buy it because I know it's a movie. You know, this is a total movie scene. But like when he says, which would have been nice if I'd been told I had a brother.
Yes.
Because he says this isn't about the money. This is about somebody.
Right. Well, now it's not about the money because he won it in Vegas.
That's
like
right.
That's convenient.
That's
now
right.
He doesn't need it.
He
so
has
now
his
it's not about the
80,000.
money. I didn't like that.
No, I didn't either. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, I mean, I know it's a movie moment, it's a movie scene, but I thought, for what it was, Tom Cruise's acting...
He did a nice job.
...was his best acting,
You felt for him. You did. And for him to be, like, an asshole through the whole movie and not like him at all, and then have a little bit of empathy. For him, it showed a good performance, for sure. And it was sad. It was more, it was a realization.
Quickly go back to the doctor scene when they're talking about, he's like, do you want to live at Walbrook or do you want to live with Charlie? Mm-hmm. Oh my God. That is another anxiety moment. Like they're all talking over each other and Tom Cruise is getting frustrated.
And he's like, stop. And he keeps asking. And he keeps answering. That was awful. That was awful moment. Yeah. For sure.
I will say, I actually really liked the last third of this film. I think the final third... I thought really worked really well. Mm-hmm.
I agree. I really liked it too. And figuring we've already been watching this movie for an hour and 45 minutes to still be invested and like the movie after that, I think says a lot. I agree. I like that last third of the movie.
I do think the movie thinks it's more fun than it is. Like, I think the soundtrack choices, I think some of the lights and the sets and I think it thinks it's like a lighter movie than it is, but for me, I think most of it was like heavy drama.
Yes,
for me.
I think all the comedy was sort of like it's like a byproduct of the scene.
Well, of Raymond's condition.
Right.
And then sometimes I'm like, in this day and age, I'm like, should we be laughing at that? I'm a little like, it's
But I wasn't laughing at him.
No, I know. But
I was laughing at the frustration he was inadvertently giving Charlie.
Yeah.
That it was more like a stick it to Charlie kind of situation. Because they would have like these crazy intense scenes and, he'd be screaming and so frustrating. He'd get through it and like literally 2 seconds later, Wapner is on in 10 minutes. Things like that made me laugh. Like, yes. Like that was
fair,
to be good.
Yeah. I think my thing was like I feel like sometimes the movie set him up to be funny, and it's like, I just don't know. In this, like, again, middle-aged lens, current times, I don't feel like we should be, you know. I mean, have you watched Love on the Spectrum on Netflix?
No.
Oh, really?
Love on the Spectrum.
Oh, what did I say?
Live.
Oh, Love on the Spectrum on Netflix is great.
Is it?
It's great. Season 1, I haven't seen season 2 yet, but it's great. But I think that does a good job of, like, finding the humor in situations and not at the expense of people that have autism. And I think this movie gets a little confused. I mean, I think it's ahead of its time, like you were saying at the very beginning of this episode. Is that, like, who else was talking about this? No one.
No one.
So
there's another movie, and it's a show, Atypical. And that actually, it has, oh my God, Jennifer Jason Leigh is in it.
Oh, okay.
Jennifer Jason, yeah. She's the mother of a child with autism, and there's like a sister. It's like a drama kind of show. I don't know if he has autism in real life.
Oh, okay.
I'm not really sure. I'd be curious to find that out. I think maybe he does. Yeah. But it's a good show.
Yeah, Love on the Spectrum, I should say, is a reality program. So let's see. So I just wrote. It's just not. I said the ending's very effective, and I got a little misty, and it's interesting because I didn't really care for it a lot, but I liked it. You know, well, I'll ruin this by saying I liked it more than I did before because I was just bored when I saw this when I was 16. Yeah. But I liked it more than I did before, and I think the ending is very effective. I really appreciate this movie not having Raymond suddenly have a big, moment of emotion. Like, on that train, when he's standing on that train and Tom Cruise is trying to connect, trying to have, like, a moment, like, and you feel that he wants to say, I love you, or something, and you realize, like, and he doesn't. And Raymond is on the train, and you just know it's like,
and he's like,
this is his life. This is who he is. Like, he has a condition, and it has nothing to do with you.
It has nothing.
And nothing you say to him is going to get the reaction that you need to feel better about yourself or anything else. And there's something, and I thought that was really crazy, like really strong, and I like the movie for doing that.
Absolutely. And remember, at the beginning of the movie, the girlfriend is mad at him because he doesn't show his emotion.
Right.
And then he meets his brother who can't show emotion.
Wow. Christina was rather profound.
Very profound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just wrote, basically, I think I liked it more, but it is a rougher watch, knowing what we know.
It's such a rough watch. Really, really rough watch. A couple of notes I had. Is that TV really going to get reception, in the car? You had, like, that portable TV. I'm like, is he really going to be able to watch that, like, on the highway in the middle of nowhere? And the fact that, like, Tom Cruise is smoking everywhere, that was a motivation.
Oh, my God, totally. Everywhere. Yeah.
Just, crazy. And the fact that he leaves the cards on the car and drives away. Like, you couldn't pick up those cards.
That annoyed me as well.
Come on, dude.
Yeah.
I have a couple more notes. Do you want to just take a
Let's take a
break?
I need to hydrate.
Yeah, me too. All right, so we'll be right back.
Hey there, it's Brian.
And Christina.
And we have some exciting news. We now have bonus content on Patreon.
If you're a fan of old roommates or simply enjoy revisiting pop culture, we would love for you to check out our page at patreon.com/oldroommates. Patrons of Old Roommates can expect exclusive content such as special episodes, movie recommendations, special videos from us, and bonus content, among other things. Your support will help us to create more content, offset publishing costs, and expand our resources to improve your listening experience.
Whether you become a patron or not, we appreciate your support. Drop us a comment on social media, give us a rating or review on your podcast app of choice, or send us a message at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Thank you for listening, and now, back to the show.
And we're back. Talking about Rain Man, Dustin Hoffman, Tom Cruise, 1988. Mm-hmm. Brian, do you have any other thoughts or notes?
No real notes. I have a little bit more trivia. it remains the only film in history to win both the Golden Bear, which is a huge award at the Berlin Film Festival, and the Oscar for Best Picture. It is the only film to ever do that.
Wow.
And yeah, but otherwise, no. I just have that, and I think I liked it more this time around. But it is a rough watch.
Yeah, I agree 100% about that. I liked it more, but a very rough watch.
Yeah.
I do have a couple other little notes just around the Vegas situation.
Yes. Yeah.
First of all, did they have to buy the exact same suit? I mean...
that seems like Charlie would never want that. Charlie would never have wanted that.
That bothered me.
Yeah.
It looked so stupid.
That's a really good note. I really didn't think that.
They looked so stupid coming down.
Single leg female.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that bothered me is we know he has a thing with noise.
Yeah.
Right? He gets confused and upset. So they're going to take him into a Vegas casino? Why wasn't it bothering him then? First of all, it was a stupid choice. But second of all, and then the whole makeover thing, like he doesn't mind being touched, getting measured and shit. He doesn't want to wear Tom Cruise's underwear, but he's okay to wear completely new clothes.
That are not from
like
Kmart.
There's so much, like that part was like very. I get why they wanted to do it, blah blah blah, but that was like weird. Even like washing his hair and cutting his hair, like he's okay with that all of a sudden. So that was stupid. And then the noise more than anything bothered me. Like, you know he's gonna freak out with the noise. But you take him there anyway. Mm-hmm. And then it doesn't bother him. Like, why doesn't it bother him?
Yeah. And then not only that, he wanders away. Right. And he goes to like a noisier part of the casino. Yeah. Like watching the wheels spin.
Yeah. Although that was really funny.
That was great how they lost
that money. It's like, 20.
Yeah. It's like $3,000 and 20.
It's not your game. It's not your game. And then one of my favorite parts of the whole movie.
Yeah.
At the end, the credits rolling. It's showing all of the pictures that Raymond took with his camera.
I never connected that.
No, Brian, before I leave this, we're watching the end credits. I'm sure it's on YouTube or something. It's so damn funny. As the credits are rolling, it just shows all of these pictures of him. Like, it's like blurry, like the corner table of this. It's all the pictures he took during the trip.
Oh my god! Did you know that the first time?
I remembered it from before. Yeah.
Why did I did not connect that at all?
Hilarious.
I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, you'll have to watch that.
I do have a match game question. Oh, anything else? Anything else?
Sorry. No, that's it. That's it. Yeah. And I have a match game question as well.
Oh my god, go! Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You go first. That's okay.
All right, here we go.
As long as you don't forget about me.
I'm queuing up the music.
Because that has happened in the past when you do yours, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, nice episode, and I'm like, wait. I have one too.
All right, here we go. Christina.
Yes.
If you think it takes Raymond a long time to eat pancakes with toothpicks, wait till you see him eat his soup with a blank.
Oh. I got it. I already got it.
That's my chair.
I know. We didn't tell anybody about a new chair.
The new chairs.
Okay. Ding.
Ding. Well, if you think it takes Raymond a long time to eat pancakes with toothpicks, you should watch him eat soup with a blank.
With an eyedropper.
You really went there. I'm so lame. My answer was I wrote a fork.
Oh, no, that's good
soup
too.
With a fork.
Or a knife would have been good too.
It would take a long time. Oh my god, that would be great.
Yeah, I was thinking, well, I do a lot of things with, I do a lot of things with eyedroppers. At school, with my preschoolers.
Oh, okay.
We do things with eyedroppers, yeah. So, eyedropper, yeah, that would take a long time. Okay, so my match game.
Yes.
Okay, so come to find out, there was a deleted scene.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, Raymond, his prostitute date did show up.
Oh, wow.
And they had a date.
How cute.
Yeah, it was cute. They didn't have sex or anything.
Okay.
Okay? They had a great time. She had a great time. But they didn't have sex. Instead, she spent the whole time blanking his blank.
Oh, that's a double blank.
It's a double blank.
Oh.
She had a great time on that date blanking his blank.
Ding.
Nice. All right, Brian. So they had the date. The prostitute had a wonderful time. They didn't have sex or anything. She just spent the whole time blanking his
We
phone.
have to match because, and if you don't match with me, you're wrong.
Okay, what is it?
Watching his TV. What else could it be?
You know what else it could be? Eating his cheese balls.
Oh! In parentheses, Christina's cheese. So
I was just going to write
his balls.
eating his balls.
Oh my God.
Because she's a prostitute.
Wow. We get it, Christina. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Good times.
Patreon.
Yeah.
We didn't mention.
Oh yeah. This is good.
Yeah. So this week, we were talking about how Raymond had quite a routine. He was really stuck in his routine. He had his routine. Yeah. It helped him to feel safe and secure having his routine.
Yes.
And so Brian and I were talking about different things that we do to keep us organized.
Especially
during the pandemic.
And what we did, yeah.
And how to, prioritizing our self-care. So, on Patreon, we have tips.
That's right.
On how we do things. And you can either take it or not. Or you can share your own tips on what you do.
Great.
So check it out on Patreon. Patreon.com/oldroommates.
And I just want to say, Rainman is available on Hulu as we sit... on Netflix. I'm sorry. On Netflix. As we sit here, but we know how that goes.
Yeah,
so
you never
check
know
your
what's
local
gonna
listings.
And that's it for us in this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And please give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you're interested in more Old Roommates, including special episodes, bonus content, movie recommendations, and more, visit our Patreon page at patreon.com. That's patreon.com/oldroommates. Comments and ideas can be emailed to us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Old Roommates.
Thanks again for listening. This is Christina.
And this is Brian. Until next time.